Hi everyone, it's Christine here from Ever After Paper Crafts, and today I have another fun Halloween card to share with you for Butterfly Reflections ink. This is the fun card that we're going to be working on today, and I want to pull it up to the camera so you can really get a good look at it. As you can see, I have created a starry night sky background using my Gansei Tambi watercolor paints, which I got from Butterfly Reflections. I'm then stamped all of these adorable little ghosts, made their little faces, put on their little outfits. It was just so fun to create this card. I used several products from Lawn Fawn to put the card together. There's also a lot of glitter, which I don't think it's going to show up on the camera, unfortunately, but it will be on the photos on the blog, and I will link you to the blog in the description box of the video below. You can see some glitter here on the witch hat, but there's glitter everywhere, including all over all of the ghosts. So hopefully that will show up in the pictures on the blog. So the stamp set that I used today is Booyah from Lawn Fawn. It's a slightly older set, but it is adorable and so much fun to play with. And I got this at Vanessa's shop over at Butterfly Reflections. So let me kind of talk you through a little bit how I created this card, and then I'll do a little bit of painting for you. So what I did was I used a lot of dies from Lawn Fawn, which are all available over at Butterfly Reflections. The first thing that I did, of course, was I created the watercolor background using my Gansei Tambi paints. Now I have a very recent tutorial on how I created the background, and in fact, this very background I did on video for you. So I will link to that video in the description box below of this video so you can see that. And so I'm not too repetitive in my videos and show you how to do all that again when I just showed you. So again, I will link to how to do the Starry Night Sky background below. What I did was I first got out all the dies that I knew I wanted to use, and I kind of laid out my stamps. Now this die comes from the Lawn Fawn Leafy Tree Backdrop die in the portrait orientation. It also comes with a landscape, you can also buy separately rather, a landscape orientation as well if you prefer your card to go the other way. The die set also comes with this fun stitched element, which you can put behind the tree as part of the tree, and also down here as part of a little hill. It also comes with two different leaf options. I chose, however, to just keep mine black to give it that spooky Halloween feel. So in laying out my card, I kind of laid this down because I knew I wanted this to be the base. I decided I wanted to use this fun Lawn Fawn picket fence border die and run that along the bottom. So I kind of just set that here to give me an idea. I also wanted to use this adorable kitty cat. And this is from the Scalloped Treat Box Haunted House add-on from Lawn Fawn, which I'm going to be doing lots of these in the near future, so stay tuned for those. But I just wanted to use the kitty cat today, and I wanted to kind of put him down here kind of in front of the fence. So this kind of is a rough layout of how I wanted the card to look. Now I just needed to add my stamp. So I took the three ghosts and I just sort of laid them out how I thought I wanted them to be. And this is kind of the rough idea that I came up with in just planning my card. And I like to do this with every card that I do. I kind of just like to lay all the elements out, plan roughly what I'm going to do, and then take it from there. And sometimes the finished product looks nothing like my original plan, I'll be honest. But in this case, it did. It really did work out cute. So let me pick up the stamps here and put the dies away very quickly. And I thought at this point I would go ahead and show you how I went about stamping and then painting these fun images. So I have a bunch of the little accessories already laid down on my Misty, and I'm just going to add the ghosts now. Let me make sure I have them all fitting on my watercolor paper. Let me just move this over just a little bit. There we go. Okay, that should do it. It does. Okay, so what I did is I just went ahead and I decided to use the Misty just so I could stamp all of the elements at once. You absolutely do not need to use a stamping positioner tool for this. You can just use your acrylic blocks if you wanted to. I just sometimes like to, go a little quicker and stamp all the elements I'm going to use at once, which is why I kind of decided to go ahead and use my Misty for this. So I just inked everything with my favorite ink to use with watercoloring, which is my Hero Arts black dye ink, and this works great for watercoloring. And I absolutely love it, and I use it all the time. You don't have to wait for it to dry or hit it with your heat gun in order to, you know, go ahead and start coloring immediately, which is really great. Now, some of these didn't stamp perfectly the first time around, which is another reason why I do like to use the Misty when I'm stamping on watercolor paper. As you guys probably know, watercolor paper is a lot thicker and it has texture, and I always color with the textured side facing up. So that often means that I don't always get the best impression the first time that I stamp. Sometimes I even have to go stamp, you know, 2 times or 3 times even, just to make sure that I get the best impression possible. Now, if you were just using regular smooth cardstock or Bristol smooth cardstock or what have you, I think you would find that you would only have to stamp it once with your acrylic block and you would be just fine. But if you are using watercolor paper, while not, you know, mandatory, I do find that a stamp positioner tool is very helpful, again, simply because of the nature of the watercolor cardstock. It just doesn't always give you the best impression because it is so thick and does have that textured side. So let's go ahead and do some light painting now. I chose to use my Detailer water brush, which is available at Butterfly Reflections. I use this brush all the time. It is absolutely my favorite. It has a very thin tip, which allows you to get into the small spaces of detailed images. There's not a whole lot of coloring to this, which is why I thought this would be a great kind of card to show you, because it really is light coloring. So if you're kind of new to the zigs or you want to try watercolor painting out with your zig markers and water, this set is a perfect beginner set to work with. Now, for the ghosts, of course, they're going to be white. So however, when you have something that's white, there's still some shadow or shading to it. So I would recommend, if you want to shade something that's white, that you either use a light blue or a light gray. Zig has both of those colors. I have used both. Today I decided to use a light blue for the ghosts. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now this ghost is facing to the right, so I have the light source coming down this way. So all around this side is going to be darkest. And where you want it to be darkest is where you lay your marker down. And as you can see, I haven't laid a whole lot of marker down. This is the light blue. And I'm just going to take my water brush now and blend all of this out into the white space that remains. And as you'll see, you'll just have a very light blue kind of shadow, just to give the impression that there is shading here, even though this is a white image. Just gives it a little bit of shadow and shading and a little tiny bit of color, but still lets the viewer know that this is supposed to be a white image. Hopefully that makes sense. So hopefully the camera's picking that up. You can still see it's still wet, but very light blue shadow there on the left side. For the one that's kind of coming down, that's just straight, that doesn't really have a distinguishing, you know, way that it's facing for the light source, just pick a side. It doesn't really matter wherever you're going to put them. Just kind of plan where you're going to put them and then put the light source, you know, accordingly. So again, I just laid some blue down, some light blue color down from the zig marker, and now I'm taking the water brush and just pulling this light blue out. Circular motion I find is best, and then you just kind of fill all of that in like so. For this guy over here, as you can see, he's facing the other way, so we're going to have the blue over here. And then, of course, again, use that water brush to pull all of that color out. And the blue becomes very subtle once it's dried, but it still is there. Very faint, very light. It just gives that element of shading while still keeping the integrity of the white image. So I really like doing that. And again, you could do this with light gray as well. Moving on to the witch's hat, I'm going to use black. And this is super easy. The light source I have coming from the left on the witch's hat because it's kind of bent to the right. So that's kind of how I picked my light source on this. And I'm just scribbling a little bit of black down, and then we'll take our water brush and pull this color into the white space. Super, super easy, and you get very lovely shading. Same thing with the bottom part of the hat as well. Do the exact same thing and pull that color out. And there you have it. Very lovely shading there on the hat. For the band in the middle of the hat, I'm going to use violet and light violet. I'm sorry, picked up the wrong marker there. Violet and light violet, that's correct. That's what I'm going to use. And I'm just going to put a little bit down like so. Because again, the lightest part is going to be over here on the left side. So this portion of the band right here is certainly going to be quite dark. And then this portion over here on the left is going to be lightest. I'm going to blend this together and then pull that into the white space, and there you have it. There's the little band to the hat. Now I want to do that buckle quickly that's in the middle of the hat, so I'm going to use brown and yellow. This creates a really pretty kind of goldish color if you mix it with the yellow, and I really love this color combination. And then all you do once you've mixed some of that yellow with that brown is use your water brush to fill in the white spaces. And I think there you can see really well there that beautiful golden color that you get. For this little boo, I decided to color it green. Now you could of course leave it, you know, just white and black if you wanted to, but I just kind of wanted it to go with my the rest of my images. So I just put a little bit of green marker down and then just use that water brush just to give this some color. No big deal, super easy. It doesn't really get much easier than that, guys, but I just thought it was cute and gave it a little extra color. For the Bride of Frankenstein hair that you put on top of your ghost, I'm just gonna kind of go around, because certainly around the outside edges there's gonna be some highlights and some shadows just because of the way the hair is shaped. And then down here where the hair would meet the top of the ghost's head, there's going to be shadow as well. I want to try to steer clear if I can of the little lightning, because that's the little lightning shape there, because that is of course that streak of gray hair that she has. So now I'm just taking my water brush and pulling this black into the remainder of the white space. So now we have our black highlight, or I'm sorry, our black dark shadow around the outside of the hair, and then towards the inside is where we get the lighter shading. The highlights, if you will. So I'm just going to bring this closer into the little bit of lightning there, and there you have it. Very cute. I'm just going to take a little bit of light blue, like we did with the ghost, to put inside of the lightning, and then use the water brush to kind of dilute that. And what I mean by dilute is just lessen the color of the blue, so it's just very faint and gives the appearance of a little bit of shading without being, you know, why does she have blue in her hair kind of thing, if that makes sense. Now we need to do the little cat's ears for our cat ghost, for our little ghost that's dressed up like a cat. So I'm going to take some black here, just do a little bit on the ear. The tips of the ears are certainly going to be lightest. Again, there's going to be shadow here where the little costume meets the ghost's head. And that looks good. So as you can see, there's no magic to scribbling the marker color down. You're literally just laying down color. That's all you're doing. There is no special technique to how that marker is used. You're just coloring it on in a line. It doesn't even have to look pretty, because your water brush is going to smooth all of this out and take away the sharp line. And that's where the circular motion helps. If you use your water brush with a circular motion, I think that you'll find, at least for me, it really takes away that harsh line. And so you just kind of like have a gradual instead transition from your darker colors to your light. I'm using a little bit of light pink for the inside of the cat's ears and just lightening that up a little bit with a little bit of water. Now for the little treat bag that I have my Frankenstein bride's ghost carrying, I just scribbled on a little bit of orange. And again there, as you can see, I'm just literally scribbling on a little bit of that orange color, taking my water brush and filling in the remainder of the little treat bag. So now you have a really fun shaded little treat bag. And I'm going very fast, but I think that you guys get the idea of just, hopefully anyway, you guys get the idea of how easy these markers are to use and what beautiful results you get. For the tip of the witch's broom, for the stick of the witch's broomstick, I'm using dark brown only, and I just put a little at the top and a little at the bottom to get a nice little shaded effect in the middle. And then I am using light brown for the brush part of the broom. Use our water brush to fill that. And then I will use the dark brown again for the little tie here in the middle of the brush part of the broom. And again, I just put a little bit on each side so it can blend in the middle. Finally, for the lollipop, I used red And I just put a little in the middle and a little bit on the outside edge, and then just use your water brush to blend that. And then finally, for the stick of the lollipop, I used a little bit of dark brown, just like I did for the broom, at the top and bottom of that stick. Whoops, and I'm throwing my water brush, and then just take your water brush and fill that in. Now that we have all of our ghosts colored, let me just show you quickly how I did the little faces. So bring your stamp set back. Now you could of course do this with your stamp positioner tool if you wanted to. Just stick, in fact, when I did the card without the video filming, I did it that way, just in case I messed up. I didn't want to do all this work with the coloring and then, you know, not stamp it correctly and then have to, you know, stamp out another ghost and do it over again. But for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and stamp one of them just so you can see. But you have all of these little accessories inside of the stamp set. You get 4, I think, different kinds of faces. You have whiskers for your kitty cat ghost. You have a little a little eye patch for a pirate ghost. So you have a lot of really fun little extras. But this is really easy, guys. You just kind of line it up, put the little face where you want it, and stamp it down. And as you can see there, he turned out just fine. And then you can color little red cheeks if you want on your ghost as well. I did do that with some Sugar Almond Pink. I didn't color the cheeks until I put the eyes and mouth stamps on, just because I felt that that would help me better place the cheeks. But all I did was, in a circular motion, I added that sugared almond pink ink, and then I just kind of blended it by going over it, just the pink, and just sort of lightly blending that in with my water brush. And that's it, guys. So that's the coloring and kind of how you would put the little ghosts together. Let me zoom back out really quick and just talk you through the remainder of the card quickly. So as I showed you at the beginning, how I had all the dies laid out, and this is kind of how it all came together. So the Starry Night Sky background's in the back. Then I have the fence, and then I have the frame, and then I have my cat down here, which is so cute, and I put some of the Doodlebug sprinkle eyes on the little cat. He does kind of blend in, and in retrospect, maybe you might want to make your cat a different color if you want him to stand out more, but I think he's really cute as a black cat. Anyhow, then I just adhered the little ghosts and all of their accessories, and I stamped the sentiment from the stamp set and heat embossed it with white embossing powder. And that's it, guys. It was really a fun, and super easy card to put together. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for crafting with me today, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.